The living room was buzzing with chatter, music, and laughter. My parents had thrown a grand party to celebrate my sister's promotion. She'd just landed a senior role at some big company, and everyone was fawning over her like she'd won the Nobel Prize. I was happy for her, truly, but I couldn't ignore how invisible I felt standing in the same room. When my mother called everyone to make a toast, I stood near the corner, holding my glass quietly. "To our brilliant daughter, the pride of this family," she said, her eyes gleaming as she looked at my sister. Dad added, "We couldn't have asked for a better child. She's everything we ever hoped for." Then someone, probably my uncle, who always drank too much, laughed and said, "Hey, what about your other kid?" The room chuckled. My mother didn't. She turned to me, still smiling but with venom behind her eyes, and said, "Sometimes I wish your sister was our only child. Life would have been a lot easier." The laughter that followed stung worse than the words. My father didn't say a thing, just clinked his glass with hers like he agreed. I stood there frozen, cheeks burning, heart pounding. My sister's smile faltered, but she didn't defend me either. I set my glass down, walked out of the room, and closed the door behind me. Outside, the night air hit my face like a wake-up call. I'd spent years trying to earn their love, believing maybe I wasn't enough. But at that moment, something inside me broke. No, not broke, changed. If they wished I didn't exist, maybe it was time to show them what my absence really looked like. They wanted only one child. Fine. They'd get exactly that. I didn't go back inside that night. I just kept walking. My phone buzzed a few times, my sister calling, maybe to smooth things over, but I ignored it. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just walked until the sounds of their party faded behind me, replaced by the quiet hum of the city. The next morning, I packed my things. My parents didn't notice I was gone until days later, which told me everything I needed to know. I moved to a small apartment across town. It wasn't much, just a single room with a flickering light in the kitchen, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I felt peace. No judgmental sighs. No forced smiles. Just silence. I started working double shifts at a small design firm. My boss saw something in me, the focus, the hunger to prove myself, and began giving me real projects. I poured everything into that work. While my parents bragged about my sister's promotions, I was quietly building something they couldn't see. Independence. Months passed, and my name started getting noticed. One of my designs went viral online, a rebrand for a small eco-startup that caught the eye of an investor. Suddenly, the firm landed huge contracts, and I was promoted to lead designer. The same week, I signed my first freelance deal that paid more than my parents' monthly mortgage. I didn't tell them, of course. I didn't post about it. I wanted my peace more than I wanted their attention. But fate, it seems, has a cruel sense of humor. A year later, my sister got engaged, and I received a formal invitation to the party. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. I showed up, dressed simply, calm, polite. My parents looked shocked to see me, but they smiled awkwardly in front of the guests. My mother's voice trembled as she said, "You came." "Of course," I said, smiling faintly. "Wouldn't miss it." The evening went on with endless speeches and toasts. My parents, once again, bragged about how proud they were of their perfect daughter. My father even joked, "We're just lucky we got at least one success story in this family." That time, I didn't flinch. Instead, I stood and said, "Actually, I have something to share too." The room went quiet. My mother frowned. My sister looked curious. I took a breath. Last month, my design firm was recognized nationally for the project I led. And yesterday, I signed a partnership deal with a major brand. I'll be starting my own studio next month. Murmurs filled the room. My father blinked, unsure how to react. My mother forced a laugh. "Oh, that's nice, dear." But before she could move on, my sister's fiancé, who worked in business, said, "Wait, you're the one behind that brand campaign? I read about it last week. That was genius work." Suddenly, everyone was asking me questions, offering congratulations. My parents sat there speechless, watching as the spotlight shifted away from their only child. I smiled politely, answering questions, feeling none of the bitterness I used to. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about showing them what they threw away when they dismissed me. At the end of the night, as I was leaving, my mother caught up to me at the door. "You should have told us," she said quietly. Her voice wasn't proud. It was regretful. I looked at her for a moment and said, "You wished I didn't exist, remember? I just gave you what you wanted." She froze. I walked past her into the cold night air, feeling lighter than ever. For the first time, I didn't feel like the forgotten child. I felt like someone who had finally stopped begging to be loved by people incapable of giving it. They wanted only one child. Fine. But the one they cast aside turned out to be the one they'd spend the rest of their lives wishing they hadn't lost. Weeks passed after that night, and I didn't hear from them again. I expected that silence. They'd always been too proud to admit when they were wrong. But life had moved on for me. My studio took off faster than I imagined. I built a small team, rented a sunny office downtown, and filled it with people who believed in me the way my family never did. One afternoon, I got an email from an unfamiliar address. It was my mother. The message was short, just 2 lines. "We're proud of you. We didn't realize how much we hurt you. Can we talk?" For a long time, I just stared at the screen. There was a time I would have dropped everything for those words. But now, I didn't need them. I didn't need an apology to heal. I had already done that on my own. Still, I met them at a small cafe near their house, the same neighborhood I once couldn't wait to escape. They looked older, softer somehow. My father's voice trembled as he said, "We were wrong." My mother's eyes were wet when she whispered, "You didn't deserve that." I nodded. "You're right. I didn't." There was no shouting, no dramatic tears, just a quiet understanding that the damage was done, but growth had bloomed from it. I forgave them, not for their sake, but for mine. Holding on to anger was just another way of staying tied to them. When I walked out of that cafe, the air felt different, lighter. I wasn't the forgotten child anymore, or the disappointment. I was the person I built from the ashes of their rejection. They wished they had only one child. Now, they finally understood the weight of that wish, and the cost of underestimating the one they'd cast aside. If this story hit home, share it. Some wounds don't need revenge. They just need distance and growth. Remember, the best way to answer those who doubt you isn't through anger, but through the life you build without their approval. Keep building.